everyone. Welcome to my show. Autumn is here. My guest today is Erica Sell. She is the CEO of Harmony Home Medical, and I'd like to welcome her to our show. Welcome, Erica. How are you today?
Hi, Francine. I'm great. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for taking some time to share some information with us. So first, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I grew up in the Navy as a Navy brat, and we settled in Northern California for the latter half of my childhood and high school. And I went to college down here at UCSD in San Diego. And towards the end of that, right when I graduated, I was going to finance, financial planning, investment portfolio stuff. And my mom's business had an embezzlement financial crisis. And she asked me to come home and help save the family business, which was a medical equipment store. And I came back. I had sworn I was never going to clean another wheelchair again. That's what I did all through high school. And I came back, and instead of working in that role as kind of the grunt labor and the driving off into, rural California, I was doing home assessments and measuring people's bodies for complex rehab. And I was doing these high level things that I was wondering, why did we not show people like in a showroom, and why do we not educate the public about what's possible? And I asked my mom that, and she said, well, because insurance doesn't pay for it. Medicare doesn't pay for it. We only do this for Regional Center, which was a third-party payer for kids. I said, no, but, most of our clients were seniors. I said, most people will want to know it. They would want to put this in their home, a ceiling lift or a roll-in shower. And she's like, no, they just won't pay for it. And so I think you're wrong. I want to challenge this, and I want to see what we can do with this. And so I went down back to San Diego once we saved the store. We got it back, and never came back quite the same, but we did good. And I came down to San Diego, and I started the Del Mar Fair, a tiny little booth with all the nicest stuff. And then the rest is history. That was 18 years ago. And now 2 big showrooms later, where we educate and show everything that's possible to age and play, not just what insurance covers.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's very interesting. That's very interesting. How does it make it safe for people? Are you concerned with the safety? Are you concerned with ability to use it? Are you concerned with people affording it? Like, do you deal with all these things?
All these things, yeah. Yeah, so we consider the person and what their mobility level is and what their needs are to have the most optimum, life experience, still do the things they want to do. And then that can transition into caregiving and caregiving experience. If somebody is in bed a lot, and different types of beds that can help the caregiver not hurt their back, different types of transfer equipment. So we consider all the functional aspects, and then the home and how we use these products in the home, design or modify the home to be safe and optimal for care and for living as long as we want at home. And that's what we help people accomplish.
Okay, so do you train the caregiver on how to use the equipment?
We do some of that. We do caregiver transfer trainings in the store.
Okay.
How to use patient lists. That's the biggest one, really, is that how to put on the sling correctly and how to do transfers. And we do these caregiver training courses, usually for home care agencies and their professional caregivers. But families are always welcome to join. We've done it for families too, both in their home and in the store.
Okay, so you sell to professional companies also?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, okay.
A lot of times the company is an advocate for the client. So it may not be directly to the company as much as they're the front lines of that person's care and seeing what changes are happening in their life and in their mobility and what they may need. And so they advocate for them to get them the things that will make their life better.
And is this all private pay, like people have to pay themselves, or does Medicaid cover something?
No, our store is all private pay. We do help people with a Medicare reimbursement form. The things that are covered on insurance are fortunately not that many. And then the allowable such where it's the lower quality product, it's the ones that might, get someone through that season of life, but not in the most comfortable or easy way. So we don't carry even a lot of the items that Medicare gives, like a semi-electric bed or a super heavy K1 wheelchair or very basic steel rollator. We don't even carry those items. but we carry those categories and better items in those categories. And if somebody wants to submit their prescription, their chart notes, and their invoice, Medicare can reimburse them what the allowable is and cover that portion of the cost.
Okay, so it sounds like you might have some equipment that maybe people are not aware of that may help them, be able to care for their loved one easier. So tell us about some of the things that you might have that people are not aware of.
Yeah, a couple of my favorite products that people don't know about. One is the sit-to-stand lift. The sit-to-stand patient lift is a lift that transfers someone while they're still standing on their feet, so you don't have to go into the hammock. So a traditional patient lift is kind of like a crane, and you're in this hammock position, kind of like that. The sit-to-stand, you have to be able to sit on the edge of the bed. But if you can, a sling goes behind your back and it lifts you up in this. If this is your legs, this is your bottom. It just lifts your bottom up and lets you remain on your feet looking right at the caregiver. So you feel more in control. It's less intimidating for both the caregiver and the client. And then when you go to be transferred to your wheelchair or your lift chair or wherever, it's real easy to drop that bottom back down into that 90 degree. In a patient lift, you're in this hammock. When you go down into the chair, a lot of times people are really sloped and sliding out of their wheelchair already. It's hard to get their bottom back into the seat. Yeah. And so this lift makes it really easy to perform a transfer. As long as the person can sit up, it's usable. And I've helped many couples be able to maintain doing their own transfers and not have to bring in caregiving as early because it's a lot easier to use than a traditional patient lift. Mm-hmm. So that's a neat item. It's not covered, and a lot of people aren't aware of it.
Right.
Another one is, this is a quite expensive item. However, if somebody has this need, they would have to have 24-hour care. And so it would quickly pay for itself by eliminating 24-hour care or 12-hour care. If someone has a pressure sore that requires either decubitus surgery or graft surgery, or the prescription is to roll every 2 hours, which is pretty common, then they have to do that every 2 hours for their loved one, roll them, or hire a company to do that. And most of the time they hire a company through the night to do the rolling. Mm-hmm. And so with the cost of caregiving in California being about $40 an hour, that adds up really quickly. 10-hour shifts, that's $400 a day to do that. So this air mattress has regular alternation, which most people know about. It alternates air cells, so no part of your body has pressure on it all the time. But this newer one does that, plus laterally rotates in sequence time, has 3 different degrees of lateral rotation possible, and all the different timing settings that you can do. It's really amazing. And then it also has a quick deflate to put a bedpan in, and a quick deflate to put a shower head basin in for doing hair washing. And so it's a product that can really keep somebody at home and not having caregiver costs go through the roof when they're having high medical need. Because a lot of people they don't want to go to the skilled nursing, and as long as they can avoid it and do all their care at home, as long as they can afford it and perform it safely. And so that's a tool we've been able to help people do that with.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. People are purchasing these items, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes people, they're not there forever. So if someone no longer needs it, and what do? Do they sell it back to you? Do they, what do they do?
Sometimes. So yeah. So people can resell their medical equipment either to a vendor like us. We buy equipment all the time that we have sold. We buy it back from people.
Okay.
That, and then there's regular platforms like, Facebook Marketplace, or the person's care facility or assisted living, where there's a community of people that may need these items. Uh-huh. That's a great place to put it back out. And then you can also make donations to associations like ALS and Parkinson's. Mm. And the benefit to that could be that you can get the full retail value of that product as a tax credit. So sometimes that could be a bigger value than the very discounted amount they get to sell it if they could just take the tax benefit of a full amount.
Okay. Well, this is really interesting. It's like I'm wondering if you have any like success stories or anything that people told you. What is something that someone has told you that this has changed their life or it had made it easier for them? I'd like to hear something like that.
Yeah, I have two again it's like couples caring for each other. But it was a gentleman and his wife who she was my client in a power chair for years. We did her repairs, we did her new chair, and he was fairly able-bodied when we first met them, but he started to decline over the years. And he was a really boisterous veteran, great guy. He was at the coffee shop every day in his neighborhood, walked there. Well, eventually his world started to shrink. He quit going to the coffee shop. Eventually he quit going to the neighbor's house. And then he realized it had been a year and he hadn't left his house. And he was very proud and did not want, power chair. We finally convinced him to do this power chair. We advocated with him and worked together with the VA actually to do a special custom chair for him. And then I was the ATP that did all the setup and the measuring and everything for it. And so when he received that chair, I trained him how to use it, and he took it outside, and it was very capable on all the streets. It's like a big one that took him back down to that coffee shop. And when he went in, they still remember his name. It had been almost 2 years, and he just broke down and cried right then. He was so blown away and so happy to be back, and sad that he didn't realize he had missed out for that long before he said, I need to do something for myself. So it was pretty moving and it was pretty awesome. And he did all of his socializing again. He was a social guy. So it was pretty cool.
Okay. Okay. That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was a great one. And then we have a client they have cerebral palsy, both of them. They're older adults with cerebral palsy. And we got them a ceiling lift when he was getting too old to be pushing her floor lift. And they work really, really hard to live together. She's fully wheelchair bound. He has the ability with a walker, limited mobility, and they're the cutest thing. They met in their CP school when they were kids in San Diego. They've been married for like 40 years. They're adorable. And he was losing the ability to care for her. And we introduced them to ceiling lift. And that's a lift that lives on the ceiling that has just a motor that comes down, no big base to push around. And so he was able to just glide to the finger push, and slide that back and forth, get Mel in her sling, bring her up and cross her over to the bed. He's still doing it to this day. He can still do it by himself with her. They're both about to be 60 in their 60s. And it's pretty awesome. So yeah, we're on our third motor with them. They've had it like 15 years now. They're one of my
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Wow. So you said you're on your third motor. How long does these things last? Like, do they?
The motors that can last anywhere from 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
The batteries and the strapping, they wear out. The track and the hardware kind of stays well and good forever. But if you're using your patient lift multiple times a day, a lot of times you want to replace that motor. Usually around, it depends, but between 5 and 10 years is where they'll start to fail.
Okay. Okay. And we can get all this online?
All this equipment?
Yeah. From you.
So, not necessarily. So all the basic stuff, like our lift chairs, power chairs, beds, all that online and information, and you can call and talk to, an expert at the store to help get guidance. But things like custom wheelchairs and ceiling lifts, you really want to work with a local provider. And I've helped a lot of people Google search and find people in their area. And I've found by doing that, because we have like a lot of YouTube, not a lot, but people find us on YouTube, and they call me from Texas. They call me from Florida and ask, about this sling or this transfer. And I've found that there are a lot of areas in the U.S. where there's not providers for this.
Mm-hmm.
There's not full accessibility providers that understand the full spectrum. You might have like your DME store, and then you have your contractor. But there's a lot of places that don't have that person that bridges both.
Right.
So that sometimes can be a challenge, but most areas will have some sort of medical equipment provider to do like a custom measuring for a custom chair and that sort of stuff.
Okay.
And a lot of people's needs can be met with the off the shelf, but it's just which ones. And that's where we can guide and be helpful. We can do drop shipping and white glove setup on any of the non-customized products. It's just everyone's home and conditions and settings that they, can setting in their life, like where they're at in their life varies. And so we can help people with what the right product is given their circumstances.
Okay, so people can call you or call your office and find out, like, if they have questions on what kind of equipment to use, what's best for their environment, what's best for their abilities, and things like that. And you can assist them on which ones might be available to them or better for them.
Yep, absolutely. And we do virtual assessments. And then we also have a lot of good YouTube videos. And I need to start going back to do more. There's new products to share. But some good how-tos, how to do transfers, how to select the right bed, that sort of stuff.
Okay, it seems very helpful and empowering. It's empowering because, people, they want to be able to help themselves also,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's like why we exist, right? Is to help people find the right thing the first time, give people the ability to choose what their life looks like in their later years. And, we really want people to have the best outcomes. And I hate to see, like, when I go do an assessment that someone has 4 different rollators in their house, or they're calling us to try to buy something that they bought online that doesn't fit their need. It's really best to work with somebody who can give you a little guidance, be it a private duty care manager. They know a lot, medical supply, they know a lot, to get it done right. And you may pay more for the product that they're recommending than what you are looking at on Amazon, but you're only going to buy it once and it's going to serve you much longer. Okay. That's what I find. And some of the real small basic things you can navigate, like a bath chair, a commode. But when it comes to the bigger items and the using of multiple items in your home, it's really best to have some guidance and a game plan from a professional.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Is there anything else that you would like to tell our audience, share with us?
I would say to do a home assessment or look at your home, learn about what accessibility looks like online, and look at your home and have a plan for yourself sooner than you would expect. Because we never know what will happen in life. And I hate to get the crisis call versus the planning call. Right. And so looking at your home, and if you're not making the decision to make it accessible today, what are your resources to do so? If you needed to do it right away, what would your cost be? And are you prepared for those? So we don't want to get stuck in a situation where something happens and we're in a post-acute setting and we can't come home because we don't have these things lined out. We don't have any resources to help us get it done. So I would say make the plan today and maybe think about this a little sooner than you had intended.
Okay, that was very helpful. Well, thank you so much, Erica, for coming on and sharing that with us. It's very interesting, and it's good to know that there's other things out there that will, help people to have a better quality of life.
Absolutely. There's so much, and it's ever growing, so it's a good industry to follow.
All right. Well, thank you. Take care.
Thank you.